Hello, amigo. Amigo Gardens in regards to one on Instagram. And this is episode 702 We Nerd World. How you guys doing? Pretty good myself. Trying to get my chat brought up over. Amazing weekend. Great start to your week. Word, cheers to you. Live chat, of course, now. Such. This here, that there. Hate and life, cheers to you. Oh. Up there, Johnny came to see Papa in. Cheers, Johnny KFC. What's up, Johnny?
Oh, 702. It's the 702.
What's up? Got Jack rolling in.
702 is the area code out here.
Nice.
You're doing the Vegas show tonight.
You know, there's some weed nerds on their way to Vegas right now. One of them's in chat. Cheers, Naughty Nikki. Headed on her way to.
Oh, I got a.
Her and
I got a little gift for her for tomorrow.
Nice. Her and Carla from Crispy Tree Kitchens are heading your way.
All right, say that again.
I said Miss Naughty Nikki and Carla from Crispy Tree Kitchen are headed your way. Two of them headed to Vegas for some fun.
Yeah, I got some treats for them.
Nice. Yeah. Hell yeah. What's up, Jack?
Not too much, just backing up a bowl. How you boys doing? What you smoking on?
Sound good.
Nothing yet here. I need to roll something up.
Well, I've been smoking on the meat wagon by Miranda Family Farms, and then I switched it over to the gooey musk. So I got a couple of hits of gooey musk here, and then what's that right there? That looks like the orange.
Here's Smiley. Do you know what makes up the meat wagon? What parents Miranda Family Farm using that by any chance?
Yeah, let me go get the package. I'll tell you.
What's going on, man?
Cheers, Smiley. Good to see you. Good to see you again today.
Right? Yeah, man. It's a long one.
So, Smiley,
Monday.
you lost power.
Yeah, that sucks.
What's the prognosis on that
The 31st. I'm supposed to be back up.
It's only a couple of days, right?
Yeah.
I have a 10-hour stretch coming up, but thankfully I've only got shit in veg. So it's not going to be the worst.
A 10-hour stretch coming up.
How do you know you're coming up? What the fuck?
They're doing maintenance on a stretch of like the street. So they're going to turn the power off to like, I don't know, do some shit. At least they're letting me know, I guess. It's not like a planned blackout. Somebody talks about like the blackouts recently. I can't remember where I heard it. What's up, GreenFingers? Good to see you again. But the last blackout was in 2020 in California, and it didn't impact my location. It only impacted like various locations. The only one I've experienced here in a decade was in 2011. And it was like the Great Southwest Blackout. It was like Texas, California, a whole bunch of other states. But welcome in, GreenFingers. And somebody else is jumping in. Maybe Blanket.
Major.
Oh, Major.
How you doing, GreenFingers? You doing okay?
Hell yeah. Get ready to roll up some of Smiley's PB and
I
J
think you're
there.
muted, GreenFingers.
Yeah.
Am I all robot boys or am I normal?
You're normal, but you're
Uh,
talking a little funny.
Oh,
You're
this is
still
my
the
new
last
voice.
normal.
What's up, boys? Yeah, I
What's
ain't
up,
fucking
brother?
normal, that's for sure. Fuck that
That's
normal
right.
shit.
None of us are normal. Okay, so Jack, the meat wagon is mixed with Tim Burley and Sherman's pants. And I figured I better pull out the Sherman's pants so you could understand who that one is. So I got the Sherman's pants here, and that one there is Jesus OG crossed with skunk #1. So that's what the meat wagon is. And it's a tasty spoon too.
Hey, Eagle, you think that's the same Jesus OG and the fucking 9-pound hammer or what?
No. Absolutely. Yeah. 100% no.
But same lineage or just not even related? Just different name altogether.
Different one into all together.
Fuck yeah.
So you got your power back on, Smiley.
No, fuck no.
Oh shit.
That'd be too easy, Major. That'd be too easy. Can't go that way, you know. Go more.
Yeah. You still fighting with a bit of PM? Or you got your
Uh,
hands on that?
I don't know. We'll find out here.
Yeah, I know you're fighting, and of course these conditions just burn that shit right out. But hopefully, it works out for you, brother.
Yeah. Thanks for the optimism.
Mm-hmm.
Those wicked pop-up thunderstorms, man.
How are the temps there right now? Is it hot there?
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It was like 80, mid 80s, and then the storms rolled through, and it was like 70. I cooled it right now.
Oh damn! What up, Cushmaster?
Hey, gents.
Cheers.
Bushmaster.
Hello. This is. How are we? Don't stop for me. You all good?
Smoking a little biscotti. What are you smoking?
Me? Ah, man, you know me. Girl Scout cookies, forum cut. As always. Some things never change, you know, until we find some better.
Warm cut S1, or you actually got someone send you some cuts or
No, it's.
Bushmaster?
I love growing mids.
Oh shit!
I love growing mids. Feminized.
Autos.
Yeah,
Hey, it's
hopefully.
probably
Major's
the
paid.
closest you can get, right? And you could probably pheno hunt something good out of the S1s. Some people say that you find better shit in the S1s than the actual clones, like the 10% that really are standouts in certain strains, that is. But forum cut is, in my opinion, some pretty good medicine. Like it helps my arthritis a lot.
Yeah. It's
I
great
can't
for
hate it too much.
insomnia. Yeah. That's good. How you going, Eagle?
Pretty good. How you doing, my friend?
Good, brother. Good to see you. Getting that back wall decked out a bit, I see. It's nice.
Little by little.
It's funny,
Nice.
the international people always point that out. It's like Green 13 pointed it out one night. Now we got Cushmaster pointing it out. I love your guys' attention to detail across the ponds.
Yeah.
PGA swag flying in the back there.
Lots of fucking good stories and all that shit up there. It's quite the wall. I'm happy you're able to dig them out, Eagle, and start rocking them again and repping them at least, like on the show for this type of stuff. And
Me too. I found one of my favorites back there too. The original TGA one back there with the old emblem on it. I'm getting that one nowhere. Yeah, I've been finding little gems here and there as I go through the storage. Yeah.
How are the DOA project going for you, Eagle or Smiley?
Doing well. They were all ready for flower. They're ready, fast ready for flower. My God. Can't wait to throw them into flower and see what we get.
Yeah,
Are you gonna?
my pops, yeah.
Are you just gonna put it all into flower at one time, like Kineos genetics style, like this big room, fucking all go at one time?
Yeah, might as well. I mean,
Why not, right? I mean, in your setup now, that kind of makes the most sense.
I don't want to dial things in too much over there because hopefully before too long, it'll be moved one more time and set up hopefully for the last fucking time. You know,
That'll be a great day. That'll be a great day. Get settled in.
had a good time at Clio Cultivation Saturday. Got to meet up with Smiley and a few others there from Michigan, of course. Big Jar Grows. I got to meet Brett Anderson firsthand, shake his hand. What a great dude there. And got to hang out with Skillbo and Old Man Hermit Hash and quite a few other people, man.
Dude, he like disappeared. Hermit Hash. He used to be on the online scene, and I feel like he just dropped right off. He's just does the live stuff now.
Yeah, well, life takes its twists and turns, you know, I mean, for everybody. And, you know, it's good to see him getting back into, you know, the cannabis scene, back to what he loves. Sometimes, you know, like I told him, sometimes we got to, you know, change the dream a little bit. But as long as we can keep pushing on, you know, stay where we love, then it's all good, right?
Yeah.
As long as you can grow for your own head, shit, that's what matters number one to me. But and if you could grow a little extra for your friends, family, and maybe a few patients, that's the ultimate dream. I don't think it needs to go much bigger than that. All the shit I see with the big corporate, it just gets worse. It becomes a real slog and grind, and I mean, it can be cool for sure, but I don't know. I think the real craft scale is a lot of these home gardens, indoor, outdoor, greenhouse, whatever. But if you're doing it basically all by yourself or with a small crew, you can put so much love into every single plant. It's just hard to match that, and you really get to learn your strains and what works well in your environments, things like that. It's a tough recipe to beat. I think the best thing.
How much of a influence do you think the environment has? As in, like, you know, obviously we're not talking about equipment failure. We're talking about like within 3 or 4 points of, you know, whatever average you want. I just don't think there's that much. Of course, you know, like temperature wise, we can influence the density of that bud. It can get a little fluffy. It gets too hot. But overall, I don't think we can really, you know, we can only fuck the plant up. We can't really help it out so much.
I think it has a lot to do with it. So I think it, just like Jack was saying, I think that is what distinguishes, you know, the craft market from regular grown bud. I hear it time and time again, you know, that fucking dispo weed looks good, tastes good, but man, that shit ain't gonna get you high. It's minus the love. It's just grown in a sterile environment. So it's, you know, it is what it is. You know, it tastes it, but it ain't got the love, man. It ain't got the stuff that really takes you there.
I'll say welcome into Blind Cat and Mail. Turps in the morning to you.
Good morning, boys. Did you all have a good weekend?
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir.
Signing up right now.
You all got to meet up, yeah?
Yeah. Great weekend. I got to hook up with Ferroli as well. Good person to meet at the events. Always cool, dude.
So you took some good ass dabs, I'm assuming.
No, actually, I left with dabs, but I didn't take any there. Sorry, MeAulflower.
Did you get any of these cookies?
Yes, I did. I haven't indulged yet, though.
What? Dude, they're
Yeah.
so fucking good.
Yeah.
Come on.
Smiling
Which
the
ones
same
did you get? The limey ones. The lime ones look lovely.
Oh, dude, so fucking good. Lime skunk. It don't sound right, but it tastes in the cookie. It was really fucking good. Really good.
What was it called?
Was it like a key lime cookie or something?
No, so for Groli, he infused the terps from the lime skunk into a frosting, and then they made they're basically, it's like a sugar cookie with frosting on it. But the frosting is where the dose is, and where
That's
the
epic.
terpene is. But it's a 50 milligram cookie. But it's so good, dude. It's hard to describe it. It's like the flavor of that lime skunk is in there. It's fucking delicious.
Oh, sounds fire.
Yeah.
So, sadly enough, I know mine is just fingered the fuck out of. Because at one point I was like, man, I squeezed the package a little bit. And I flipped it over and I was like, oh, cookie. Cookie.
That's
cookie crumbles.
the cookie monster over
Definitely
here.
crumbled.
I just had like one of those American flashback, American Pie fucking episodes in my brain. Eagle with that cookie.
Yeah, looks like I'm just gonna have to rip that bag open and dump it in.
Better be.
Blind Cat, how you doing, man? What you smoking on tonight?
Oh, pretty good. Just smoking on some Amy's Aces tonight.
Always a good choice.
Yeah.
What's your Amy like?
Oh, I don't know. It's pretty tasty. I got the most of it, so I'm kind of like trying to smoke through it a little bit, a little bit more lately. But yeah, I don't know. Little sweet, little maybe like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe some grapiness in there, and I heard Thunder Dan talk about some like burnt rubber type of, or some sort of burnt something. I don't know if he said rubber or something else, but anyway, it's pretty good, dude.
Sounds complex.
Mine definitely had that rubber, but it was like a new rubber, not quite burnt rubber, like a new shoe, or
Nice.
like a new car smell, kind of like almost like a fresh leather or something. But it was mostly cheese. Is like really heavy cheese.
Somebody said new tennis
No.
ball the other day.
New tennis ball. Yeah, that's another good way to describe it, I think.
I was like,
Tao
what?
describes his RB, the resin bomb, as being like a blue handball. Like if you ever play racquetball or handball, that little
Right,
like,
man.
Yeah,
that kind of rubber.
Rubber.
that's very cool. I like that. Put color to that smell. I like that. That's deep.
It's real specific, man. Like if you've smelled that shit, you know exactly what the fuck it smells like.
The blue number 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Well, I hope your tennis balls taste great over there, Blanket.
That sounds horrible.
Sounds awful. Sounds good.
Burning them does, yeah.
So what was there like a couple of events on in your locality at the weekend? Was it? Seemed like that. Like it was the Clio, and then there was 3. That's a lovely. And were they all within distance of traveling, or were they a little, at other ends of that mitten? The other ends of the mitten.
Pretty spread out. It was kind of like across the state.
I wish that I've said it about cannabis content, but I wish it would be the same with cannabis event. I wish that somebody would kind of work together to make them flow instead of the situations like this weekend where, there were 4 and you had to choose. You know what I mean? Less likely to, hook up with everybody instead of having like one every weekend, the 4 bang, you know what I mean? All in the one weekend kind of.
Absolutely.
think they're trying to squeeze it in at the kind of end of the summer. And for another way to look at it, silver lining is a lot of people don't travel super far for events. So if there's 4 events, then that gives people, especially if they're not right next to each other, it gives people in different localities the option to go to an event where they might not have otherwise been able to go to anything. And I don't know. I think there's always a positive outlook, I guess, that you could have on it.
So speaking of events, when are we setting up that Eagle Gardens Cup? The Caregivers
Someday.
Cup.
Eagle stock.
Caregivers Cup. We got to highlight these home growers cup.
Right.
Cool. A lot of work goes into that shit. It's not necessarily the easiest thing to put out.
Did not say anything about it being hard or easy. I was just saying.
Well, you're asking when it is. To put a date out.
When's the date? Yeah, that's what we want.
That's a lot of planning. Where would it be? When?
That's how everything begins.
We gotta set the goal, and then we can build stuff in that goal. So.
I feel it, Smiley. I'm on your side. You gotta set a date, and then that's how you get the ball rolling. You know, just.
I tried that with the cheap home grow meetup thing in Vegas, and I was like, all right, we're gonna do it in October. And honestly, we could have probably set a date, figured something out. I waited a little bit too long at this point. I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna push it to next year. Travel's so fucking ridiculous right now, expenses wise, that it would be just an oxymoron to have a cheap home grow anything that costs people several $1,000s to fucking get there and stay. So I just can't feel right to like the people that, especially if it's like the first one, a lot of people are going to want to be at it if they can. And I don't want to force people to fucking expense something that's way above and beyond. So I'm hoping by next year shit gets a little bit more reasonable. But like, I was going to drive. It would have been perfectly affordable for my ass, but I just feel bad because I know a lot of people are spread out throughout the country and I'd want them to have access to get there. And it does, like Eagle said, takes a lot of planning. So
yeah, but if we did something like next June.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's good to do it. The further in advance, the better, because then the specifics get easier and easier and cheaper. If you contact the venues and you say, hey, next year, like, I'm going to have this date and we're going to do, this amount of people, you can get through a lot of the no's ahead of time too, because some places are not going to be cannabis friendly. But Vegas has got a lot of good venues, and I think Sai was his name. He came on a couple times, and he said that there's like several like Airbnbs and even a green friendly hotel. So lots of options there. But I think for you guys in Michigan would probably make sense because a lot of your people are central to there. But
I don't know.
Hold the audience.
I just think they could do them different.
If you did a cup, what would your what would set yours aside? Like the judging or something else?
I like the way Buddy did it at the Clio Cup. They do so every entry goes through a test. So they test it for pesticide, all that shit, and they get terpene percent and they get THC percent. And then it's actually smoked and judged that way too. So there's kind of like, there's not going to be a winner that wouldn't pass normal legal testing. You know what I'm saying? And then they're not, I don't know, then they look at the test results, but it's not just totally determined by highest THC percent either. You know what I mean? A double faceted kind of way to go about it, which I like that, but it does add costs. You get the tests involved, all that.
I think that's worth it if you can afford it.
Yeah. The one thing that they do that's really cool too, it's different than a lot of events, is they put up a tent. So he has like a big circus tent, you know what I'm saying? Like fucking huge underneath there.
Right.
And then all the vendors have their booths or their tents along the outside of that. So they're facing inward. So that way, like, and they have tables and chairs for people to hang out too, you know what I mean? So there's tables, chairs spaced all around. So there's a bunch of spots to hang out. And then all the way around is all the vendors around that big tent too. You're not just sitting out in the middle of a fucking field in the dead hot sun. The one event we went to, there was fucking no place to sit down. They had food vendors and everybody's standing around trying to eat food standing up because there's no
It's like
place.
the Fire Fest. Sometimes
Yeah.
they don't plan all the logistics out, and then people suffer because of it. It really matters to do all that shit right to make a successful event. One thing I also like for judging is, if it's possible, like have all the submissions in a month ahead of time, and say there's 30 samples, right? Or there's probably going to be more than that, but you send out like a kit to all the judges beforehand that has, like you said, they're tested for everything, so it makes sure it would pass all the things, so no one's smoking any pesticide, mold, mildew, or foreign nasty material shit. They get the terpene test result, they get the cannabinoid result, but then they have 30 days. So every morning they could like say, I'm going to wake up and fresh smoke it at this time. Or like if they're a night smoker, like smoke each one before bed or at lunch on their lunch break, whatever it is, for them to have like a fresh mind to really get the best judgment of how that strain impacts them. I think the few things that I've seen do that, I think that gives a pretty deep insight into how the judges actually feel about. That's, in my opinion, the most fair way to do it, but it just takes so long, and it's a lot of ask. But most people like to do it. I mean, if you get 30 samples, like I think people in that circumstance paid to be a judge, and you got all these things, and it's like buying flower, and you kind of go through and give them feedback. But lots of options.
What I think would be a cool one too would be like, so in most of them you turn in an ounce, and then you pay whatever fee if there like if there's a testing or whatever, right? But what I think would be cool is if you if all the contestants were the judges. So say I go turn in an ounce, you know what I mean, to be judged or whatever, but I also get a judge's pack with 28 grams from other people. So I got 28 individual grams to judge myself. So, you know what I mean? So you're not really losing an ounce, you're just exchanging it. And then it's like, you know what I mean? Kind of cool too.
Dude Grows Cup does something kind of like that, where everybody who submits, you get like tokens, and then you walk around. Whoa, is that me?
Miley, I think there's.
Whoa, that was
I
crazy.
think that might have been coming from your microphone. Check your wire.
Holy shit, that was crazy.
That was the biggest robot.
Your screen was lit up when that was happening.
Dude Grows Cup has a system where everybody who enters, their jars are all put out, and they have like a little thing where you have tokens and you vote for the one that you think is the best. But they're, I guess Medically Fit was in it, and he said the one downside is like when you enter your thing, they're like number 87 or whatever it was. Like your thing was like said out loud as you entered. So like, it could be biased because people would just be like, oh, I'm number 87, so go vote for my jar. Essentially, you could have like your buddies weigh it. But if you could get over that, like if you could do it in silence or just write it down where nobody really knows, and then everybody just votes unbiasedly, I think that would be a pretty cool system too. Like you're saying, like all the growers, then you don't lose anything. You're exchanging an ounce for another ounce, and then you get 28 individual grams, which would be a pretty fucking badass little platter to get. Even if you got like 5 or 10 shitty grams, like to get to try 20 plus good ones is pretty awesome.
It should come in a chocolate box, because you just never know what you're going to get in a box of chocolates.
Now, what is that Christmas box? The advent calendar?
Calendar, yep. You pop the little things open every day.
Fucking that'd be dope, dude.
So we got time to do it next June. What do you think, Eagle?
The advent calendar box.
Like, fuck you, man.
Eagle is actually saying 4th of July. I was saying, well, you wouldn't want to do it on 4th of July because that's when everyone's traveling. And he's like, well, shit, I love the 4th of July. So that's what I'm going to do. But we don't want to, it's always flexible.
I'm just
never had options, so you stop looking.
Be fun, man. Run around with like fucking Roman candle sized joints on the floor.
Yeah.
So
I think it'd be a cool category if you had like just like straight up like a black market category. Just straight up like show up that day, drop your bag off. The crowd will pick the winner just out of, sampling what they can out of that bag. I think that'd be kind of cool too. No tested, the straight up black market who has fire.
The
I'll
problem
judge
is
it.
then somebody smokes some aspergillus and fucking dies. Like,
I'll do the judging.
You gotta take those off. You gotta take those risks, I guess.
I smoked so much Mexican brick
Green
weed that
fingers, I got that. I got you.
Right.
I'll
what
do
up,
it.
buddy? That's very uncommon. Like, the only people that actually die from aspergillus are extremely like fragile, sensitive systems or whatever already. But it has been recorded in a few unfortunate instances here in California where people
I think
died
we're
from.
worried about myclobutanol or the eagle.
Yeah, that kills you slow and over time. I mean, unfortunately, like,
No
you have to
worries,
get like 1,000 parts per
No
million.
worries. I got 10 more
Keep smoking
years.
consistently.
I got 10 more years. I
Yeah,
might be able to do
But
that.
if you go to golf courses, then you'll smell Eagle 20 because that's the main industry that buys gallons and barrels of Eagle 20 to treat golf courses.
They're not smoking it. They're not smoking the fucking grass.
Yeah, that's
The
my
problem
No.
with Eagle 20 is when you combust it, it turns into cyanide, literally.
Yeah,
Man, I
I mean
smoked my
that's
tires
true,
on the
but
golf course sometimes.
that weird smell that Eagle 20 is, yep, that same smell
Probably
on
ain't
golf
good to
courses.
inhale. Probably ain't good to inhale it either. I mean, we're seeing with Roundup and shit, all the fucking cancer lawsuits finally going through.
Sad, man. It is sad. Like people
These
look
Roundup tips.
to the Navy to have
Roundup for-
Yeah, except that no matter what with Roundup, the amount of production and the use around the world hasn't diminished at all.
Yeah.
It's lower in Europe, buddy. They can see it in the
Well,
urine
it's
test.
lower here, but then they just moved to more, I guess, gullible countries that they can work the same hustle and muscle farmers into their racket. That's kind of what production drops in one place, but it goes up in others.
It's also a double-edged sword because this food, although shitty, GMO modified and sprayed with fucking Roundup, it's going to cause cancer over time, is feeding millions and billions of people that would have otherwise starved to death and never even been able to exist. So,
I don't know.
Yeah, and even the concept of GMO, I mean, of course, money driven, it's going to be fraught with negative shit, but actually could be used, the technique and the science, for positive things. It's not all negative.
Smiley, did you see when they tried to force the Netherlands? Like, they're trying to force them to all go back to a certain style of organics, and a lot of the farmers are literally like rioting because essentially they can't get their production to the same standards that they're having with their former methods. And
They're not allowed to do certain techniques, and there are only certain things they are allowed to use. But the idea that, like in the Netherlands, they're straight cutting them out. They're straight cutting them back. They want them to cut back. But what that does is it takes the most efficient farmers in the world, and it reduces their production because of that litigation. But what they're doing is you're still going to need food. So you're going to move your agricultural demand to a less efficient farming community, wherever that is, and you're just going to be polluting more over there. It's idiotic. When you have in the Netherlands, those farmers are the world leaders in innovating agricultural, all that kind of shit, man. Like, why would you why wouldn't you bring their techniques to the other countries that are not as efficient and try to bring them up to that level of efficiency? You know what I'm saying? And do that across the board and not just pin the number on the farmers when the real polluting things are being ignored. You know what I mean? That's what's bullshit about that.
Even in our country, like from the 85, when I first started listening to Farm Aid and the things that they were saying, the big thing that they did was farmers used to plant 90% of their crop for production and 10% of their field for seed, for they had seed for the next year. That was the way you survived. But when they instituted the system of loans, which like every farm has to have a loan to function these days, part of that loan package is they're mandated to grow 100% production, no seed. Oh, how do they get seed? It's part of the loan package, right? And then once that, over the decades now, has been a locked in thing, like that's what Farm Aid was screaming in the 80s, save the local farm, like save this, but these were the things that they were saying was going to happen and what they feared, and those things all happened. And that's the one. Like, so, oh, now it's GMO seeds that they make for whatever reason, where over what, 30 years, 40 years, can you imagine if farmers themselves had 10% of their land to do their own seed making, where things would have progressed?
Buddy, that's
Well, that's-
happening here in San Diego, brother. There's
Oh.
seed makers here, and there's a bunch of fucking organic farmers. There's more rare fruit and seed and vegetable in California
Yeah.
than probably many other places. But we're one of the fewer places that has probably that level of crazy amounts of diversity. If you want it, you can find it here.
And even
Yeah, it's
for
like
a
seed savers.
period, that same, like, it's not working that way now with Monsanto, but for some decade, that same loan package, that same deal with the bank included using Roundup and whatever products, because the bank you were on the hook to the bank for the loan, and they dictated what you were going to do, and because they wanted to guarantee their return on investment, you know.
They get a shit ton of subsidies, though, man. There's their
all
insurance.
all that.
Oh man, they get covered for hails, and hemp is now eligible for that because it got the
Well,
farm bill here.
I don't know if
So you can get
anybody ever
crop
really
insurance for hemp now.
elected it, but Newsom had $100 million grants, they called it, but that's basically subsidies. Where why wouldn't cannabis over 10, 20 years end up in the same position all these other crops are, where, oh, it's such a low price that it's subsidized and all this, you know, to create, you know, basically why it's subsidized is because if a farmer sold his tomatoes for 9 cents a pound, he would lose money. So they subsidize it, you know, to keep the price low enough for us to afford it. Is basically what happens.
Yeah, I don't think so. They dictate what they grow and they export shit. A lot of that's controlled in such a way. Like, I don't know. I think we can feed everybody on the planet, and I don't know that the planet's gonna overpopulate ever, like they talk either. Like, I don't know too many people that have a lot of kids, more than 3. You know what I mean? Like,
But
Well-
we have the largest population now that we've ever had. Or do you think that we had a larger population prior?
no, I'm just saying that it's gonna decline because people aren't having kids.
Well, and
I
whether
agree
we
that
could
people should
produce
keep
the
having
food,
kids.
the resources it takes to ship food to faraway lands becomes much more than the food is worth, right? Like a ship full of rice, like, wow, all the way from China to here or wherever. I'm just throwing things out there, but yeah, most likely today the shipping fees and costs outweigh the value of what's on it.
Absolutely. That's
I
don't know. That's
also guess part of my point was that, like, conventional agriculture, there's definitely some links. Like, there shouldn't be corn oil and literally fucking everything. But if you just actually eat the corn, there's technically more pesticides sprayed on that than if you get organic. And if you can afford the organic, then obviously go for it.
Who is
Whatever.
it?
Yeah, who is it? Who just
Captain.
Captain 420
He's here.
over
He's
from
Well,
across?
like, but
Even more
Jack, in
international.
Southern California, the ears we eat come from out in the desert, like not where GreenFingers actually is, but in that area. But most of the corn grown in the Midwest, yeah, that's all for corn syrup and all this other stuff. So like, and most likely in Michigan, there's somebody that grows corn that's corn still, as far as eating corn on the cob, is local economy. It doesn't ship. You don't need to, because people can grow it closer to the market.
or more
Like
people-
most produce, I mean, should be that way, right? The
Right.
more local, the better.
Well, the local economy, exactly.
I will say Ohio has some motherfucking great corn, and where my family lives, my dad actually shipped me corn one time, and I got a letter in the mail from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, or California Department of Agriculture, saying we seized your maize and destroyed it. But that letter came. It came a week after I got the fucking package of sweet corn. So somebody either fucked up or they looked at it and they're like, man, this is some dad sending his son a fucking big package of sweet corn. So we're just gonna let it go on through. Like they inspected it and maybe there was no pest or anything. But yeah, it showed up and I ate it. My happy ass showed all
that
my
whole
California friends how much
system
sweeter it is
is
than
to
the shit out here.
protect California from pests. Like that's what.
And it's
that
smart.
whole-
I mean, we're the fifth largest economy in the world. We have $100 billion surplus this year. Granted, that was mostly on stock gains for a lot of people in California that were being taxed on those. from
Well,
last year,
years
but-
ago, when you drove back from Vegas, there's an ag checkpoint, and I remember they used to actually stop you and like peek in your car and, oh,
They
you got a
still
banana?
do.
Oh, you got
They
a
still do.
banana.
If you go to
Yeah, they
Arizona,
Still
and shit,
do, buddy.
all over the place. There's one right down the road
Yeah.
from me. Two of them. One coming
Yeah.
up the one highway.
Anybody that goes into California has to be spot checked.
I'm more
To see
worried
if
about
you
them
got
checking me for
bug.
fruit and vegetables than I am for cannabis at this point. Because I'm going to Arizona and shit, and like cannabis is
Right.
legal on both sides, so they're not really tripping about weed. They really give a fuck a lot more about an apple than they do about a fucking bag of bud.
But in years to come, when they understand that the weed actually has pests, which we do, like we can name them, and the dangers of that, then that they might be like, fine, you have weed, but you can't bring it from one state to another because of the risk of spider mites or
It's currently illegal to do
aphids or-
that, but I mean,
yeah.
if you're clever, you usually don't run into problems.
Well, I mean, I've actually seen TSA documentation from Oakland Airport that dictates that unless it's like more than a pound, they don't even give a shit. Right? I'm not paraphrasing. The TSA, like they're not. It's not their priority, basically. You know. And
Well,
I have
and another
friends,
thing I'll tell you about
can
the
imagine-
TSA.
I travel with friends that are dabbers that have Pelican cases and all this shit that goes right through there. And I'm always thinking if anything wouldn't go through, it would be this thing that looks like it's for drug use. But that shit that goes through, I've never
Dude, those
seen
look like
anyone
a
with
gun
problem.
case too, so you'd think it'd be hot. But here's the thing: 67 out of 70 items the TSA sent through in an internal investigation, guns, knives, weapons, got through. 90+% got through in their own internal study, and it had to be released to the public because it's an internal audit. They're, representing the people. So we had to say, hey, how are you guys actually doing?
Wasn't it a few
67 out of
months
70 failed.
ago, Nate from Humboldt, like through him reaching out to the DA and the feds about the nitty gritty of the law, they sent him a letter that basically said that seeds, clones, like they had different words, were considered hemp. There's no THC, so they're not against the law. And
That's been since the Farm Bill.
I might be like overphrasing, but basically said that they were legal in the mail and in transportation in this because
Yep.
well,
That's been
what's
the case
illegal
since
is
the Farm Bill.
THC, not a marijuana plant, really, right? So
It has to
I
have
guess
over
that's-
0.3%, which sometimes a vegetative THC plant actually will have more than that, unfortunately.
well,
So you do have to be
clone,
careful with.
Will clone.
If you
I
take
guess
it
if
off
you
of a
cloned
mature
it-
plant,
yeah. But like
but
a
you can scrub them with
typical
like alcohol
clone.
if you're really worried. And
But
honestly,
like a typical
most of the times they're
clone
not going to
taken
fucking
in
test it.
veg.
The other
A
thing is like
typical clone
Michigan,
taken
they
in
can't
veg.
even tell CBD, the difference between CBD and THC in blood. So much of this testing is unreliable. And a lot of the times they don't even want to fuck with it. So if you just ship it in a package that says this contains 0.3% THC or less, they're going to look at it and say, oh, these are hemp clones. And they're going to let them go right on through. Just like
What
seeds. They
I
can't tell if
understand
it's a
about
cannabis
the
or a hemp
testing
seed.
is, like the other drugs are all under these panels. Like there's a panel that tests for all like certain drugs, and a second panel, but the THC and marijuana one is separate. And it's very expensive compared to these other panels. And even a lot of times when they have to check all three of those panels, a lot of times they don't even test the THC one, mainly because of cost.
Dude, they have a THC test at the dollar store. Somebody did it and they failed it. It was hilarious. I saw it on Instagram the other day. They're like dollar store THC test, and they took on video and showed themselves fail it. Like they knew they were going to. They were stoned as fuck, but it was cool to see that it actually properly detected it for $1. But like you're probably saying, a lot of them might be more expensive. It all just comes down to what type of test they're using. I think like HPLC, they can distinguish between like CBD and THC, but like in your blood, it's a different thing, I guess. So,
well, and how much are you going to spend? Like ultimately, a drug test is a relatively cheap thing individually. If you were taking it into a lab where, well, let's find out what's in this blood and not have any restrictions on cost, you could probably tell each thing in the blood easily.
Dude, I've been sending seeds with my happy ass across America with no worries since the Farm Bill, because I read it. It's plain English. The Farm Bill says very clearly, if it is below 0.3% THC, it is considered hemp, and it is legal in all 50 states. So that means seeds are legal in all 50 states as hemp. If you germinate them and you grow them into cannabis, you can get yourself in trouble. But seeds are legal in all 50 states. There are lawyers that will back this shit up. I'm not the one who came up with it.
But I can remember as a teenager, you would get arrested if a cop found a seed in your floorboard. I mean, now, how they would arrest you for any reason back then, but like not so long ago, like they treated seeds like if it was an arrestable offense.
I got arrested for fucking stems pretty much. I had an empty bag.
Yeah.
It was just stems, and I got my ass beat over it too while I was fucking handcuffed. Cops were and still are probably in many places assholes about cannabis. There were people getting raided in California. They're saying it was a inspection.
Humboldt.
But they're rolling up in Humboldt armed. Dude, like talk about, these people have paid every single one of their fees.
And it's really the water. Taxes. It's the like Fish and Game and the authorities, environmental authorities, like worried about water. Like how,
so, but do they have to roll up armed and treat them like criminals? It's
no,
so
like the story I read said that even a year or so ago, they would give 24-hour notice, basically for you to make sure your dogs and the gates open. You're there even, and then all of a sudden this month they just came in hard with guns and all that. Yeah, legal operations.
Shit, I became a felon after 1,987 grams of stem, leaf, and debris.
They weighed everything.
I had 2.5 ounces of flour, but someone put 2 garbage bags in the back of my truck coming back from California going to Michigan in 2010. And then I stayed an extended period of time in the state of Illinois because of that. And paid another tuition fee of another about $60,000 to get my ass out of that. I'm just glad they didn't charge me with 187 doses, though.
That would have been a whole different story. Do you ever do any work with the Last Prisoner Project, Cabin 420? I know you work with Normal.
No, I have not. I've been out of that side of things for a while.
So I just recently got offered, there's a dude, Uncle Rick, he asked us to come on and do one of our shows on a stream coming up in September for the Last Prisoner Project. And as you were just kind of discussing, going away for cannabis is pretty fucked up. And it's cool to...
Yes, it is. And I would definitely support that. I would definitely support that because I am a veteran of the drug war now.
Look at Blind Cat's fucking bazooka. Respect.
You see that
Look
shit.
at that fucking thing.
Dude, he always smokes fatties. He's growing the fire. He's fucking rolling it up fat. That's the grower's joint right there.
He rolls up those boss joints. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, dear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Captain.
Yeah, bud.
Do I get this right? You were in the clutch Instagram and you won the Mean Gene pack that I auctioned or gave
Yeah,
away.
but can I get the Katsu one?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
I don't like
and then-
lime.
I know that. Another thing, 4Js, what James Bong, 4Js, or Mr. J4s, or isn't that your buddy?
One of the people I talked to, yeah.
He won the other one. And I thought, wow, what a small world. Like only like 2 people I actually know won the duck race or whatever it was.
Hey, by the way, that is the first time I've ever won seeds on any IG or Facebook or any giveaway.
Hey, I was thinking like, yeah, well, at least it's the only person I know, so I can at least like, I know, yeah. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, and it was really funny that you put up the seeds for the giveaway.
Yeah, like Mr. Split, it was Clutch. If you don't know, he's a character, and somehow, I don't know, there were a bunch of good packs given away. There was
Yeah.
only like 20 people in there, so, but it was fun.
I gave away some
There
seeds
were
on this
some rare
show
seeds.
that showed up to the person's house in like 36 hours. I was pretty fucking surprised because I just sent it out the next morning. Like it was one of these shows that went late into the night, packed it up, sent it out the next day, and like they must live somewhere close enough
Well,
with the USPS.
When I sent GreenFingers the package, even though it took a little while to get to him, it got to his mom.
Like 15 hours.
I mailed it at like 4:30.
Yeah. And like fucking literally 14
Like,
later, you received the shit.
yeah, like that was
the
yeah. It had to have just made all the connections right for that to happen.
literally.
I love when that shit links up, man. Fucking post office can make shit happen.
And then you're in
Amazon makes shit
Thailand
happen
and you're
sometimes too.
then you're in Thailand, you're waiting for a box that normally takes 12 to 14 days, and then all of a sudden you're at 6 months because of COVID.
Yeah.
But then
Dude,
when that box come in, you're like, yeah, I just got a half pound.
Well,
That's funny.
I mean, not to bring up it, but yeah, the post office has been part. I used the post office for many years. And then I remember a few years ago during the whatever, that dude tried to like intentionally fuck up the post office. And it did. Like what used to always just be 2 or 3 day priority was taking 6, 7 days. The whole thing was all fuck. I was like, who would purposely fuck up the post office? Yeah. Luckily, it's back on track.
It's great when it's working, man. I'll say that. I do appreciate the shit out of it. Amazon
Well,
too. I ordered a light one morning and it showed up that night. Like
I
that
don't
shit blew
buy
me away.
stamps, but I was overhearing the conversation with the teller next to me. They're 60 cents now. I don't know. I remember them being like 39 or 40 or, but now they're 60 for like every letter, just one stamp.
I remember sitting at the normal chapter and having to change to 29-cent stamps from 25.
Yeah, 29s they were 29 for a while.
I won't complain about the price because that shit gets there, especially those flat rate priority boxes.
Oh yeah.
They
You
fucking
can't beat that.
arrive and they don't give a fuck
You get-
how much it weighs or how much you stuff in that shit. And it shows
And you
up
get
on
tracking.
time with tracking.
And you,
Mm-hmm.
And $50 insurance.
Yep.
Yep. And they get there. They get there like clockwork.
Hey guys, I want to give a shout out and a special thanks to Smiley's Gardens for hooking Jay and myself up this weekend. I know I seen Eagle out there at Clio and Skillbo's video. That was nice seeing Eagle and Buddy stand there talking together. I wish I could have been with you guys, man. I really miss Buddy's event. That's one of the best events in Michigan.
Yeah, I agree. It's cool.
But I appreciate that, Smiley. We're gonna enjoy that.
Yeah.
As you seen, I had to grab some of that there Death Star.
Yeah. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Well, as soon as your garden's done, it's sold too, brother.
Eagle, how was Skilbo doing? I saw you in the photo with him. I was really actually very happy to see that.
He's doing good. He was doing good. It was nice to see them together there. Fucking just like I said, I went to go eat Growley's cookies. Look at that. Look at that.
Already chewed for you.
Pretty much. I'm sorry for Growley, but I'm sure it's good.
It's
Sure,
gonna
it'll
be
taste
stuff,
fine.
but yeah, it's not gonna affect
You
the
just got bite-sized cookie pieces, that's all?
Yeah, I'm
No
gonna
problem.
eat it, but I'm gonna bear you guys the watching me dump this into my mouth.
No, that's the fun part. Come on. Like watching a baby bird try to eat. It's like,
It's
That looks
good.
like you take it 2 dicks. Is what that
I will
looks like.
say I had a mission failed because I wanted at one point I sent Skilbo some blue dream seeds because he was looking for like some pinene and a little bit of like that sort of smoke. And Eagle's also looking for pinene and sent him some J1. And he's like, oh, it's fucking dragon fruit. It never worked out. And I was hoping that those two, because there was a, believe it or not, one point in time where the two ships were sailing in opposite directions, and I'm happy that they sailed more back into a parallel path, and things are smooth sailing these days. There's really other people's drama, so I don't want to get into the old bullshit. But I'm just happy to see that everybody's fucking getting along and smoking and being a community, and putting shit in the past where it needs to be, and moving forward.
I'm happy
smoking
to
and
see
enjoying
that
it.
GreenFingers looks like he's doing all right, because I was a little worried there for a minute. How you doing,
Yeah.
GreenFingers?
thank
Oh,
you,
yeah.
guys. I'm still a
His eyes are closed.
yeah, there. Hey,
Yeah.
you can see that. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's
Robert,
all right.
was that any food poisoning?
I'm not sure, but the antibiotic that I got, it could have been, man. It could have been. I did have a little bit of diarrhea there, but
Yeah.
the pain in my back could have been really bad gas, But no, they gave me some antibiotics because they're not sure what was going on. So they gave me antibiotics and fucking literally started feeling better like 5 seconds after I took the shit. I was like, whoa. So it could have just been like some infection somewhere and needed to get.
Taco Tuesday, man. Taco Tuesdays.
Yeah,
I gotta admit, I thought the same thing, man. I scrolled down your IG the day before when you were showing the food videos.
All the Thai food that I had, yeah. I didn't even eat that shit.
There could be a connection here.
That's fucking
Dude, I got E.
hilarious.
coli from Chipotle, man. You can get fucked up from food. I almost fucking died
Hey,
from that shit. I got real
I ate at
sick.
Chipotle one time. It must have been so many years ago, like way back. And I got food poisoning at that one time, and I never ever tried. Fuck that place.
Some UFC fighter found staples in his burrito bowl there. My wife will not let me eat there. After I got E. coli, she saw how sick I was, and she's like, "No, fuck that."
Well,
They closed down all the restaurants for like 24 hours to do sanitary
live in
training,
San
and then they had an
Diego.
outbreak again.
So, like, if you're going to like a corporate Mexican food place, something's wrong with you. Because, like, literally, we live in the home of the best taco shop, burrito shop. Like 10-1 restaurants are Mexican places around us.
I agree with you, but when I was in Ohio, like when they opened Chipotle and they didn't have shit,
Yeah.
I actually liked it, and I kind of grew accustomed to it. So I would have it every now and then when I was out here in college as a broke college student. It'd be a fat ass burrito and it'd fill you up for a long time.
Well,
it
it
used to be a
closed
decent
down,
price. It's gone
but
up.
they were foolish enough to open that in Fallbrook next to the Chinese buffet thing. I think they might even be the same conglomerate. And yeah, maybe 4 or 5 years. The Chinese thing is still there, but not the Chipotle. Like I say, there's too much good Mexican in town for that.
Oh,
Yeah, no, it's
pretty much McDonald's.
they have them in like San Marcos out here. There's a Chipotle. No, I see them around. So I
Yeah.
mean, probably
I
for
mean, they're a
tourists and stuff.
corporate chain.
Yeah.
Who's got the combination Taco Bell and Pizza Huts?
Yeah. We used to have Taco
Pete-
Bell, KFCs.
Yeah, we had A&W KFCs, and then it
Well,
turned to
I
Pizza
know
Hut
if you go
KFCs.
to like truck stops on the 5, that's when you really see that, because like all of a sudden it's Pizza Hut, Taco, like all of it combined to one. You
That's
realize, oh, it's really all
down the
just one
street.
company.
You got a Cinnabon, KFC, and Pizza
Yeah.
Hut. That's what I got right out here. So like, that's
So
what my mom
They're all
got.
2 weeks
franchises.
ago,
All three. All three in one
2
store.
weeks ago, Pizza Hut gave me food poisoning. And it's one of my safety foods that I can eat here in Thailand that I don't get sick from if I
Oh,
need to
shit.
eat something. And I ate Pizza Hut and I ended up with food poisoning. The worst case of food poisoning I've ever had. It lasted 4 days.
We should have traded food. You should have ate the Thai food, and I should have ate the Pizza Hut. Fuck,
Better,
it would
man.
have been okay.
What kind of
Glad you
pizza
got through it,
do you have?
man. That shit can be rough,
Yeah.
especially over there, like where you might not have. I don't know what the medical services are immediately available, and like, but I'm sure you could get treated. But it's not fun to have to go through all that.
My
From what I
third day
understand, they got
into it,
better medical than we got, right, Cap?
the third day into it, my friend goes, "Oh, you didn't go get any of the charcoal tablets they have at the pharmacy." I guess you take these charcoal tablets that they have here, and it pretty much fights all the bacteria and clears out your stomach. And supposedly it does it within like 6 to 8 hours. Man, I
Dude,
wish I would have known that because those 4 days were hell.
it's all about the fucking microbes and bacteria and shit. Like, like with Robert, he took the antibiotic and started feeling better immediately. Another case I can think of, when I had mono when I was in high school, I got really fucked up and I ended up being hospitalized. I couldn't breathe, like was getting real dehydrated, and they thought they were gonna have to do surgery to like remove an abscess in my throat, and ended up getting a IV with some antibiotic, and overnight it worked so well that they canceled the fucking surgery because it cleared up. Like I was on a breathing tube because my fucking throat was swollen so shut, but the antibiotic worked so well. And really, like, everybody's talking about microbes and shit, but like our gut has so much of them. Our skin is covered in it. Like when you do jujitsu, there's people that use something called like defense soap because people get like ringworm and shit. You don't want to fucking get people's good or bad microbiota all over you.
Well,
You want to scrub that shit
even
off
I
after you
saw a
train.
documentary that was really about the uptick of people being allergic, but part of what it went into was like 100 years ago, or even longer, pre-sanitation, when humans started washing their hands and all that, we had like 1,000 times more diverse microbes. That's how people, even though people had shorter lifespans, they even survived that long, right? Because but then over basically they say sanitation was the beginning when we started to like have a much smaller diversity of microbes in our gut, what they call it, gut biome. And then even when they tied it into why so much people, younger people especially, there's this massive uptick of people being allergic. It's because, yeah, at this point, we live with a very minimal but gut biome compared to the history of humanity over time. And that's what I remember about watching that. But that the gut biome, yeah, and even being subjected to different things is what ultimately gives you ability to ward off the sicknesses. You know what I mean?
It's like a kid playing in the dirt. You know, they almost never get sick. They got a fucking strong immune system. Where the bubble boy who's sheltered by the parents, they get the first cold that comes through the school. And like teachers often have a strong immune system, or people that work with a bunch of kids because they have
I
all the shit
remember, I
going
think
around.
I heard it here somewhere, but COVID, remember that first was wash your hands like 10,000 times a day. And I remember somebody pointing out that'd be like the worst thing because it's stripping your hand of microbes that you need. And then the person suggested if you had living soil, you'd be better off just like putting your hands in that. Like if you're worried about keeping COVID off when you get home, go and put your hands in good soil, and having all those microbes in the soil would fight off whatever you were trying to clean off your hands, better than stripping your hand of all microbes with soaps. Like, and I thought, well, that seemed like good logic there.
Soaps are different. Like there's a few different classes of soap. There's like actual antimicrobial soaps, which have become more popular nowadays. But if you get like a Dr. Bronner soap and use that on your hands, it's like a Castile soap, the old fashioned soap, like bar soap. If you get it from a organic producer, there's tons of them.
Well, and even part of that
fine.
was like, oh, washing your hands a few times a day. Yeah, that's part of, but like back at that beginning of COVID, they basically were, the first thing they told us to do before they told us to wear a mask or anything else was like, wash your hands 20 or 30 times a day. Remember, they made videos to show you, oh, make sure you're thorough and blah, 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 blah.
I never watched that shit. I never saw somebody say wash 20 or 30 times a day.
Oh,
But I
that
also
was part of
didn't keep
the
up with the
first
news. I
couple
believe
months
that
of
it came
COVID.
out. I believe it.
Yeah.
It was there.
Like that that was when they thought that it was transferred by like, oh, you could touch something and just have it.
My godfather was sterilizing his doorknob 3 times a day because he heard on the news to do that. And my dad asked him,
Yeah.
he goes, have you had anybody over? And he goes, no,
Remember,
I haven't had anybody over. So he's like, what are you
people had
sterilizing it for?
Stuff delivered, like food or groceries, to their front door. And then there was videos that showed people how to bring it in the house, spray it with stuff like the bag, put gloves on. I mean, it was crazy. Like we went crazy.
I still see people doing that kind of shit.
Yeah, we went
I was gonna
crazy.
say, it's still going on. One of my clients
My
right now,
mom does.
I haven't seen actually, unfortunately. They have COVID. They're a little bit overweight, and they've been out for about a week and a half. And even
Well,
though
the
they're
other
testing
day-
negative, they don't have enough energy to like go for a walk, which is like
How
our
I am.
normal like light
How I
hike.
am with a bag of soil is I fucking spray it on down. Bleach this motherfucker before it comes anywhere past my door.
I just like to be
Now,
on the
since
record
I
of saying
travel, I'm sorry,
fucking
Eagle.
that for girly cookie, even crumble was fucking delicious.
Hell yeah.
Just, for the record, it was even in crumbles fucking delicious. All right, Captain. I'm sorry.
Crumble
Cut you off.
gets a bad name. If it's done right with good material to start, yeah, it's not as clean as rosin. We're not going to say that, but
He was talking about a cookie, buddy.
oh,
Yeah,
You're missing.
A
You're
little,
missing the,
yeah.
So I love crumble. So
a cookie, a real cookie.
but
yeah, like
you
a
getting some good
an
crumble.
edible that got smushed in the bag into
But,
crumbly.
But I do love crumble though.
Yeah.
I do love that crumble.
It's good if it's
Yeah.
done right, for sure. Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
great.
Oh, yeah.
Easy to work with too.
Yeah, Bud gave me a bunch. I was like, holy shit, that's a lot of fucking crumble, dude.
I
Like,
love
nice.
crumble in a joint.
Fucking huge. Fucking
Yeah.
this.
So many years ago, I used to like to go to shows and use crumble in the joint because if you lit it once, that was it. You wouldn't have to pull out your lighter. You just keep it cupped in your palm or whatever, but it would stay lit. It could stay lit for 15 minutes. So you could hit it again. Like it stayed lit. Where if you have to light your lighter every time, in a concert where they're looking out for smokers, yeah, I found that other than it smoked a lot and you could see the smoke, but you wouldn't have to relight it.
That thick hashy ass smoke. You puff on it and it just starts cherrying back up again.
Well, so many years ago, maybe it's lightened up, but in Vegas when there were shows, because they have all that high-tech security, right? So like you'd be up front in a mass of people and be smoking and keep it kind of low because they're on the lookout. But yeah, next thing you know, like minutes after you even put it out, these guys would come up to you because they could see it in the high definition. They'd see the smoke and Vegas, unlike other places that use cameras, Vegas uses it well.
So, Jack, you posed an interesting question there, or at least I was thinking about it myself the other day. And so, what about do you think we can necessarily distinguish, and what do you think it is dictates that thick smoke. Because some cannabis is, you know, it's a very airy smoke. It doesn't fill the room, but then you get some that are very like hash like, I would say, you know what I mean, to where it's very
Greasy.
thick and the hangers in the room. What do you guys think actually makes the heavier smoke versus the lighter smoke?
Maybe waxes or on the cuticle, or I don't know.
I
Wax.
think maybe
Bacteria.
oilier weed, like weed that's oilier feeling, might
Yeah.
be weed
Yeah.
that has a thicker smoke. But I've never tried to pay attention to.
Yeah.
But I do notice sometimes some smoke is thick as fuck, and others
It's
isn't.
fats, lipids, and esters. And
I know Forum
thiols.
Cut Girl Scout cookie has thick as fucking. It's the thickest smoke that I've come across in any strain, and it's like one that's fairly well known. And I know a few of the terpenes that are in it are humulene. It's pretty popular. Beta caryophyllene and myrcene are the big three in most grows for the. Like I've gotten it 100 different times at 100 dispensaries and seen terpene tests from a bunch of different growers, and it always has those as the top three in my experience. So
Some
I think that's pretty
terpenes.
consistent.
Yeah, the esters, thiols, fats, lipids, and the terpenes, all those things combined to make a harsh smoke.
The flavonoids too. There's a
God,
canna
that's
flavin.
weird, Jack. Because I don't have that much variety, but the one thing I've been smoking and I'm gonna roll right now is Forum Cookie Cut. And other times I was smoking Donny Burger and you'd mentioned Donny Burger. Like somehow we're like in sync. It's weird.
It's the San Diego lifestyle. They're definitely
Yeah.
around here, and they're well grown here too. I mean, I've seen a lot of very good examples of both of those that I wouldn't mind smoking repetitively.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind trying some of that Donny Burger there, bud. We could
Well,
probably use
isn't
about
that
3
what we were
packs here.
smoking? Isn't that what I was smoking with you in Ventura when we were in the holiday? Yeah, that's the weed I had then. Yeah. I've
What
been
do you
growing that for a while.
What do you
Couple
think about
years ago.
popping over there, GreenFingers? I saw you were thinking about popping some shit earlier. What were you thinking about? I'm sorry to interrupt you guys if you guys were in. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I have no
You
idea.
didn't. You didn't.
You interrupted at the perfect time because I have no idea what, and I had a mouthful of pizza. So I have no idea what the question is. I'm gonna do something. I was like,
Oh,
I'm like, oh shit, my air conditioner popped on, and I was like, yeah, how'd you know it popped on? I was like, what the fuck? Wait,
And
what?
you get
describe
that
the pizza
line.
then.
Yeah, you put up
Amy Aces.
with that.
I'm gonna
And,
try. I might do the Mamie Aces just because how it's brother, you know.
yes,
Gotta keep it in the family.
And do you have, are you into doing autos at all? For some reason, I think like, even though it's not the greatest thing, they finish fast and they're like bulletproof. You can't fuck them up.
Yeah, for real. I would do them if they didn't fucking disappoint so much. Just kidding.
Well, you're not going to get
You
giant
got some great
deals.
ones. You had some good
Major?
ones.
Yeah.
And Weed
Bottom line
Monsters.
is even if you started some other things
Major?
I've seen one
that
guy
take
grow really good ones. A
take
Weed
a long
Monster.
time,
He grows some
your
good
autos
Major?
big
would be
fucking
ready
autos.
to harvest like a month before the rest of
Just so you
everything
know.
else.
Just so you know.
Yeah, I've seen one guy grow really good autos that I have to give him a shout out to, Weed Monster. He fucking grows some big fucking autos, some good looking shit too. You know it's an auto if he didn't tell you. You're like, holy shit, really?
boom,
Yeah.
boom,
Impressive.
grows good looking autos too.
Who was that?
Right, a
Boom.
bone farmer.
Oh yeah, for real.
Yeah, I'm just thinking if you're getting going again, a lot of times once you start from scratch, it's a long time, many months, few months at least, 3,
He's gonna get
4.
into the groove
Before
Can
you
I
right
play
have
devil's
finished.
advocate? I'm gonna play devil's advocate real fucking quick because I have grown seed to harvest photo period flower in 100 days. You veg for 30 days, flower it for 60, 66.
Yeah, 100 days.
That's 90, 100 days. Most autos
That's 3
actually go
months.
longer than that. And a photo period, they're bulletproof. If you fuck up in veg, it's not going to start flowering on you. You can take clones off of it if it's fire. Not to fuck
Yeah,
up the
I
auto
agree.
people out there.
I agree.
You're
I
right.
agree.
You're right.
But
You're
yeah,
right.
that's just my one devil's advocate. I fucking love photo period because I think that they're like the perfect plant.
Fucking right.
But then you
It
get
can do
a new
everything.
country. Then you get a new country like Thailand that are telling people, oh, you can put a couple of these plants out on your balcony. You're not going to put a Thai out on your balcony because it's going to go 3 floors above you. But they're really pressing auto flowers here because, kind of like you guys said, you know, planted in the ground, and at 12 or 13 hours of light a day here in Thailand, you know, it's flowering and you get a product within that 90 to 120 days. But I am also one of those people where, you know, just like Jack said, you can take a fem seed or you can take a regular photo seed. And if you do it right, you are done in 90 days. You take a
Yeah,
clone,
but
you veg it out for
I would
30,
never
and then
suggest
60 days
doing
done.
autos indoors. I've done them 3 years. The first time I did the same variety indoor and outdoor, and that I realized no, they're not indoor. That was stupid. But outdoor on a patio or outdoor, where first off, you never know where your season really is. So autos are going to do their thing no matter what time of year it is.
Some people like them for indoors because they have light leaks and power outages and shit. Like I know a few people that they're in places that there's always power outages, like all the time, and they'll herm their whole room no matter what. They've tried growing photos over and over and over, and autos just withstand that for them. And some people work a lot, and they'll just be like, hey, fuck it, I'll throw it in like an 18.6, and everything's just going to kind of be in flower. So you get a perpetual growing just by throwing a bunch of autos in there at different times and, you know, harvesting them at different times.
Yeah, I mean,
they definitely have their place.
I would never suggest that you abandon your photo and just go with auto, but as like something to have as a hobby underneath it.
Yeah.
That's the best advice I've ever heard right there. For new growers, don't start off with it and don't expect you to get a lot off of that shit. Like, my brother did this, he got a lot.
If
but like,
you're
Prepare
gonna,
for
plan.
disappointment.
unless
he got
you
three
have
little
like
plants.
parameters, like
Bust it
sometimes
out.
you're talking to somebody that's in Alaska or in some place that the parameters make sense for it, right? But otherwise, photos and actually regulars, I mean, even though fems are fine and dandy, regulars is really, you know, sexy. You know, if you want to learn and understand the plant and all that, I would start with regular photo periods.
It's not that hard to kill off a few males and then get some Afghani lineage, fucking throw them on your balcony, and they're going to flower like in 100 days, just like essentially an auto flower
Some
would.
Thai lineage.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You don't start with Thai lineage. You get some Afghani. Get something that's fast flowering that you know is going to be, you know, 7-8 week at longest 9, and you can veg it just for a short time. And don't even take clones. Just fucking pop a bunch of seeds and then grow them out like he said, like a fem seed. You can just essentially start it and know, okay, I'm going to get some flower out of this. It's going to finish relatively quick.
Yeah. You can try to get as much out there, mini seeds in one little planter, and then both those planters out there and fucking bust it out, you know? Get 3 little feet. It might be 3 feet, but it's gonna be a lot.
I haven't started the project yet, but I'm gonna grow like a couple auto seeds that I have that do fine outside, but do them inside, like with like next to the where I have my house plants, like just inside next to the window, and just see like, oh, what happens? Like, can it just grow like that in inside a house without really full sun?
I can answer that
close to that?
because I have a buddy who also lives in the city you live in, and his wife takes the runoff water from his plants to water the house plants. But he had an auto that he was going to throw away. She ended up taking it and hiding it behind one of the couches that has nice, access to a window. And this thing grew like 3 feet tall and bushy as shit. He's like, I found it because I smelled it like through the other room. It was like a big, beautiful plant. She was just growing it with his runoff water and the sunlight.
Because I
from the fucking
actually
window.
think, I mean, I'm not like a breeder or any of that, but I'm given the seeds to give somebody feedback. And if somehow that could be a plant that just is grown like a house plant and yields somebody, well, that's a whole like that's somebody that doesn't want to commit to being a weed grower necessarily. But if it's as simple as like planting it next to their fern or whatever and watering it like they do the fern, and they get a decent weed out of it, I think that's actually a marketplace for the autos. People like that.
Even if you don't have good sunlight, because a lot of people are limited by their sunlight, an HLG on Amazon, and most places have Amazon, but some places don't. You can get like the 65 watt, which is like under $100, and that can get you a few ounces of weed with an auto or two. You just throw a few plants under it. You set it on like 17 on, 7 off, or 18.6, and you have it, a few inches above the plant, and you watch it as it grows up. And it's real easy to get started because indoor does provide, like people in Thailand, for example, they have crazy ass rain season. So if they have climate controlled houses in some regard, maybe they could grow a plant indoor with a little LED light that doesn't pull a ton of wattage. I think Captain said that their electricity is actually super cheap, so they can crank a buck ton of wattage.
I'm willing to bet if you planted a field full of fucking autos, it would crop circle itself into something that said the
future. But even with a regular photo, like people could use way less wattage. Now, granted, they're not going to have like density and huge yield, but they'd still like produce something that they would be happy.
They're going to have nothing good.
It doesn't it doesn't even have to be an auto. Yeah, like you said, it could be a photo.
Density.
Ultimately,
stress test.
To me, the more people that grow their own, no matter what, is the best way to counter the legal market corporate takeover and what that could become. Instead of people like being trained to buy it, like just be more people just grow their own and be okay that they don't grow the greatest stuff, but it's worth it to them.
One of the bartenders at my grocery store wants to learn how to grow, so I'm gonna teach her and her husband how to grow.
Gift them some seeds, and they'll get curious. They'll start googling shit up.
Oh, I gifted her a bud. She got really curious.
Because I've given
when you grow fire like
plants to like just casual people that grew them, whether on their patio or whichever, and they'd always bring me a little bag, and they were like, I mean, it wasn't the greatest. I wouldn't say that, but it was theirs, and they thought it was the greatest thing ever. They knew it wasn't as good as whatever that is grown differently or whatever, but I remember that about people, just not growers. Not everyone's a grower, right? This casuals, I guess you'd call them. Yeah, they would be larvae and leafy and not trimmed well, but it was theirs. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, what's funny is like they put so much pride into it, I feel like, and passion and love, that maybe something, the connection to that plant, like maybe they do get a higher sensation off of it, like that actual sense of accomplishment. It's like a entourage effect to the high, because they're so gratified by doing something that they've never really done before, at least with cannabis. The reward is like, okay, I did this thing that I've never been able to do before, and I'm smoking the result of it. Like that first time you do it, it blows people's minds. And as long as it's not like moldy or terrible, like if they get actual decent harvest, then like you said, it could be larvae. It doesn't have to be perfect. Often, actually, some of the best weed doesn't look pretty, so I'll say that too.
I was gonna say, I could show you some really ugly weed, but it tasted hella good until I let it go super dry and it's full of seed, so I wouldn't smoke it anyway. But it looks like shit. Looks like shit. Tastes good though. Looks like shit.
Most people hate the weed that I like the best because it's got too much leaf on it, they say.
Yeah, that's why mine looks like shit, I think. I'm like, it just looks like shit, but like it looks like cabbage. And I'm like, I love it though. I was like, fucking smoke's fucking great. Soft smoke. Nice.
Just give them a pre-roll. Don't let them see the bud. Fucking say, hey, smoke it and tell me what you think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't
That's
smoke
the-
with your eyes anyways, so don't worry about it.
That's the
Well,
big question too, is if the market will ever go that way, because like the market's so driven by that appearance of a frosty tight nug, you know what I mean? That a lot of people don't even realize what a flavor is or whatever. Like it's interesting, you know. Like some of I mean, I don't even need to call anybody out, but like you go to an event, you smell a lot of different bags or whatever, and it's like you can pick up on different things, like it wasn't dried or dried this way or it was old or whatever, you know what I mean? Like certain smells are there, like you can kind of notice that, you know?
It's a lot of tumbleweed. Yeah. All perfect little, it's not hand trimmed or anything. It's all rolled, as far as I can see.
Yeah, shaped buds, right?
Yeah, it's like, so they've just robbed all your trichomes. That's all you know what I mean?
You rub some of them.
But
I
they
mean,
want the Myler bag. That's all they want. They don't
Love
care.
it.
I don't
It
think
says
that's
that
the
fucking
one.
whatever name it says on it, they want it.
I think hand trim or no trim, but I've smoked some buds that were tumbled or even machine trimmed that when they get the right strain and they grow it properly, it can still be fucking fire because there's so much trichome on the fucking material that inside the buds and on the remaining material, it's just, there's so much
Well, what
resin.
I understand about those trimming, even the best machine, it's really strain dependent. Like some strains, yeah, they come out great in it. And other strains, not so much. It's
Okay,
like there
so
needs
if
to
you're
be a
using
certain style of nug for the trimming machine to really do a good job.
But the
It's
problem
not
with
very
that,
How
buddy,
versatile.
is that
often are they
style
cleaning
nug
the
is also
drum?
the easy hand trim one too, so that's the
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, and how often do they clean the drum? So all the
Well,
contamination of every other bud that went through there doesn't.
I've never worked with
because
one.
it's a lot to clean them. Even
They
I know
test the bud though. So I mean, in California, you're getting testing for every aspergillus, they're testing for everything, pesticides,
even if
molds,
it's not
mildews.
that direction, resin is like is going to get on everything, right? Just like your scissors and everything, right? It's not the easiest thing to fucking just wipe up. I mean, so at the end of the day, the amount of hour or the amount of stuff that has to be done to clean one of those machines, that's what I'm like. Yeah, like, oh, it can trim so much in an hour, but it took you 4 hours to clean it when you were done. Otherwise, it would be gunked up the next time you turned it on. You know what I mean?
That's why you got to run a shit ton of it to make it
Each
worth
one
its
of them
while.
blades is covered in trichome.
Yeah, resin, like everywhere. The whole, like, you got to clean all that off. You can't
So
just let it
what-
build up, or it's
I
not going
don't
to be
see
efficient.
that's where it loses the attraction for me. You know what I mean? That's why I do it. You can't be buying that weed. Knowing exactly what the process it's been through. You know what I mean? But that's what commercial and that's what people. You know what I mean? If you don't have a load of trimmers in, you know what I mean?
Yeah. In
they're
the
a
end, I
I know
still
that
think
some of those trim
there's some
pros
people.
had their paint would come off, like the acidic nature or whatever the terps would peel the paint off of those trim pros. So next thing you fucking know, you got paint in your fucking nugs too. And it's like
I mean,
after hours of fucking
ultimately,
trimming, you realize that
alcohol,
shit.
right? I mean, you're gonna have to use something like alcohol at the end of the shift to clean the blades, clean it, whatever it is.
Don't use alcohol. D-limonene because it's already in cannabis. That's what they use to clean the cylinders from extraction. That's what Fergoli uses to get his shit so low in ppm. His concentrate is like next to no butane left in it, and it's because he cleans it with D-limonene, and it strips the shit out of those chambers. It's extremely caustic. It'll
when they get really caked up, it's kind of like rust. When you clean it up, it just sticks to it, right? You get balls at the end of those leather straps, and you just collect it. Like you get mad hash from it. It's not really that hard to clean, like for your home grow style, but for a commercial operation, yeah, it must take like 5 hours, like Buddy was saying, with all those little holes everywhere.
There's so many different trim machines. It all just depends. And I think most of us are hand
one
trimming,
that I
so
kind
fuck
of
those
saw
things.
that's really expensive, you could tell that it comes all apart because that's how you have to, at the end of the day, take the blades, the wheels apart to clean them.
Hey, Johnny.
Johnny, say farewell. Fucking don't just leave it in the chat. You can jump in.
Later, Johnny.
Yeah, hang out with those guys for a minute.
All right, Johnny.
Yeah, and I got an early morning in the morning too, so I got a lot of shit going on. Anyways, guys, peace and love always.
Hey, so
But
Johnny.
I mean, there's a few commercial. There's product on the shelf. I guess I don't buy shit off the shelf that is machine trim, but hand trimming still rules the day. Like it's not like, oh, remember when we used to hand trim? No, we still hand trim.
Palomar Cultivation
Yeah.
said they couldn't get more per pound, so that they actually that was their problem. They're a greenhouse cultivator here in like the kind of inland, but they were saying that nobody's paying more, depending if it says machine trimmed or hand trimmed. The distributors aren't paying more, and the shops aren't paying more. So they have done most of their operation as machine now. So.
But
That's something
that
to think
sucks
about.
because that boils down
Well-
to fucking dollar. I don't believe that boils down to consumer choice. I think there's a huge difference there. I think as any business, they're cutting corners. I don't want to pay the extra for it.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna. I don't even think that would be an honest opinion either way. It's just a way of driving down the farmer another way. Yeah, no, nobody's paying extra for it.
Well,
So
I
you
mean,
just kind of
look,
cower
my-
down
my-
and go, okay,
my
I'll
friends
fucking match fucking
that
trim
run a
price.
big operation, hire 2 people that work for me long term, also work for them. So there's been a mutiny over the last few months because he was paying 200 per pound for years. But because of the prices now, he tried to say to all the trimmers, 175, take it or leave it. And they said, fuck you. And now all of a sudden he's scrambling because none of the trimmers will work. And I was like, yeah, you shouldn't have taken it out on the trimmers just because the price is low. That ain't the trimmer's fault. Right? And that, like, trying to pay
They're the
somebody
last
less for
person
the
you want to
same
fuck
work.
over.
Yeah. And that's fucking example of it right in my circle. Hey, now, because, oh, shit has to get done and I pay him a little differently and have a different relationship, they're actually doing his work like funneled through me because, yeah, after like a month of no one working, they had to get it done. So it's being done here. I pay him differently. And yeah, but yeah, that's become an issue. And I'm sure this is an issue across the whole thing.
There
'Cause when
still
you
are
start-
hand trim operations still. So
When
I
you're
don't wanna make
talking
it seem like-
about weed in the 1,000 to 2,000, less in the teens, and you got 200 in on just trimming, oh, the math's starting to get a little wobbly.
If a machine has to be used, what would be a machine that you guys would recommend for a small scale? These Green Bros 215 or whatever?
I feel like that's too expensive for small scale. I'd go more Smiley style or whoever uses those trim bag. Seems to work pretty well for small scale.
A trim bag? That sounds like
Now, what would you
nonsense.
call
Does it
small
really work?
scale? Like, what would the weight be of finished per
I don't
month
know, like
that you would call
fucking
small scale?
finished trim. I mean, trimmed product finish would probably be
Just
like
for the
six-
sake of conversation.
5 to 10 pounds.
Yeah, not me.
Okay.
I
Per
only
month?
grow lettuce.
And that,
No, it's just for Uncle Trip's outdoor, man. He says he does about probably like worst case 6, best case maybe about 10, 12, but he's got
once a year?
he's got 3 harvests of that.
Oh, 3.
So yeah, and he says he does it all himself. So he's fucked, he does like 3 weeks of 16-hour days and he's just fucked, he says. So yeah, that's why he, and he's still got the perpetual indoors going on the whole time. So he just saw it. And the thing is, man, they're $6 grand.
Is he gonna safely be able to import one of these fucking machines?
This is a thing, brother. I seen that Green Bros sell that small, 215 or whatever, and it's 7,000 American dollars. But at the hydroponics shop here, it's $15,000. So
Here's
I'm
what I
thinking,
say. Here's what I
how much
see.
is it to ship the cat?
A lot of the shit we use is similar to the
That
shit
shit's
they
getting
use
complicated.
for gold, right? Kind of. You know that the best country to buy all the stuff they use to filter gold and all that is Australia. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if you could make a better one, cheaper, and engineer it better with Australian technology.
And
Because they
the other
they
thing, man, is 15 grand is 15 grand, but here in Australia, Uncle Trip says he gets 4 a p, 4K a p. So really, it's what 2 is 8, like I don't know, fucking 4 p's. You know
It
what I
pays for
mean? And
itself. It's an
that's
investment. Yeah, in that case, then
yeah,
fucking do it. That's one of the
yeah,
preferred ones out here. It's one of the better ones.
Essential tool, yeah.
Sergeant
yeah,
Pepper speaks highly of it. I know some other people that like
yeah.
it. It's for the
Like
largest
it,
scale. I didn't realize that Uncle Trip was dealing with such a large operation. I thought you were more of
so that would
but
be more medium use, right? In our thing here, small, medium, and large.
that's a
So
small scale, man. Yeah, I think it only does like 2 pounds an hour or something. So that'd be perfect for him, I think. Yeah.
I do 2 pounds an hour.
Well, whatever, man. Just fucking yeah. And for that,
I
My
don't know the
ass.
I'm
name
a
of it,
machine.
but
Yes, I'm
I
a
watched the
machine.
My ass.
Adam Dunn show, and he's sponsored by a company. They show this video of their stuff. It looks like it's pretty expensive. I don't know, but it does look like they got some good equipment. Whatever, I can't think of the name, but it's on the Adam.
it was
Dunn
Green
show.
Bros. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
Green
They,
Bros.
that's
they were
Yeah,
meant to do a live trim, but I haven't seen it yet.
oh
yeah.
yeah.
That video
Smiley.
looks.
What do
But
you weight wise? If you don't comfortably saying like, if you could give a range, is it same roughly as what Kush is working with?
Yeah, it'd be like I don't know, like probably 4 to 6 range. So
But your thing is able to handle that pretty comfortably and like time wise. He just said 2 P's an hour. Is that right, Kush?
Yeah, yeah, that's what they say. I think it's a
I think that just
215.
matters on in
205.
with Smiley's thing.
okay.
How good
Strain.
the arms are on the guy fucking whipping the bag.
And the strain, if it's a big foxtaily one, you're gonna get a bunch of these little, like out here they sell them as smalls, and some of the machines knock off those little calyxes on like the really foxtaily buds, or even a little bit looser. As long as it's not a perfect fucking spear, all that stuff's gonna get knocked off in a lot of these trimmers. So a lot of the
Yeah.
smalls is actually not too bad.
So
I do have to say that Smiley and the way he does it is not bad. I've seen quite a bit of Smiley's flour, and there's very little, wow, but
Smiley,
there's
your
very
mic.
little
Your
excess
mic's bugging,
trim
Smiley.
on it.
Sounds like my wife's vibrator.
There's no complaints
my
about
God.
Smiley's
Say
flour,
that
that's for
too. I'm
sure.
gonna say it sounds like his wife's vibrator. Went. Hold on. How do I know that?
Other than his mic. His
Leave
mic
that
was
one
pissed about it.
alone.
Like, hey, don't go talking shit.
So
Sounds like my vibrator. What the fuck? I
His
mean,
mic
what?
has it in with a trim bag.
I heard you guys mention two things, and it made me think of a great time in life. I don't know, but who here remembers when an ounce of gold, an ounce of cannabis, were the
When-
same fucking price?
Oh,
You were literally growing gold.
Wait
I
a
was gonna say
second.
More,
weed was
right?
In the
more expensive
90s,
than gold.
in the
It was more-
90s, my mother came over to my house and seen my first garden, and then watched her friends pay me $400 an ounce. And that's when she accepted me growing pot indoors, because I was making more off an ounce of pot than she was selling a gold ring to her friend.
Remember when I watched gold hit fucking 1200 the first time? I was thinking, man, I wish cannabis was still equal to gold.
Here's how it went for me. Like, yeah, those days of the price, you pay the trimmers, whatever. When those prices start going down, oh, and part of that job is one of them got paid extra, couple hundred, to take all the spent trim, every bit of it, and make sure it got dumped somewhere away from here, right? And that was extra money. Then came Bubble Hash at the beginning, but then BHO in 2012, where each trimmer works with a paper bag in their lap and keeps just the inside trim. And from the whole way I've looked at that whole part of the business of making the BHO and selling it and all that, is to pay for the trimmers, because yeah, like they keep it's their little bag, like they earn it, right? Where I used to throw that shit away for like 20 years, right? And now all of a sudden it becomes like, oh, I make a profit off it too. But it definitely, like in my mind, is like, oh, well, each trimmer makes that much in the hours out of that bag. Like it's easy to pay them. They already produce it. But I've had to train them what is inside trim, because like, yeah, I don't run like bullshit trim through my thing, right? Only the inside trim. But it's always been in my mind a way to pay the trimmers.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Another funny moment I thought of this weekend was, when did anybody ever really in cannabis really think, you know, especially back long ago when we had fucking tons of seeds laying around, that giving somebody seeds was going to be considered a favor. Or a good thing. Oh yeah, man.
I remember seeds were film containers, because film containers was like the most common thing because of 35 millimeter film. Whether people put dope in it or collected seeds, they were in film containers. And like sometimes, well, this was before it was like valuable seeds or even green weed seeds, but you could get someone to save a film container full of like Oaxacan seeds or Colombian seeds or Thai seeds. And yeah, I had a few of those in my life, but I never like I don't know what happened to them. It wasn't valuable enough. I didn't keep them, but if I would have, yeah, from my youth, that would have been, I guess, heirloom seeds at this point. Because some of that Oaxacan, Colombian, and Thai was the best weed. It just had seeds.
Yeah.
You could
I don't know about the
Buddy
best
Bunch.
weed, but it was good weed.
Buddy Bunch.
I've got a bunch of old Thai seeds. One of my older buddies gifted to me, but they're I don't even have anywhere close to the space to grow them right now. But I also kind of think tissue culture is probably going to be the way to get him to go, because he's been growing for a long time and he hasn't had much success. But I think even like a seed cracker might help. I saw Kagyu one. I think he's one of the coastal seeds breeders. He cracked a 40-year-old seed with a seed cracker. Got it to go.
Like a little bit of hormone, like
gibberellin. Yeah. Kyle breeder did
that,
some 80s and 90s seeds with like 50 to 150 part per million of gibberellin, or GA3, gibberellic acid. So
I'm waiting
that just gives
for
them a little
them to
bit of vigor.
finish the tissue agar.
I mean, people are
I'm
doing it
waiting
now.
for them to get better with that, because
now,
I
from what
have
I
some
understand,
30, 40 out
like
old seeds.
An old seed that might not germinate because it dried out inside. It you know, there needs to be this encapsulated in the center that is basically holds the embryo or a little moisture. And if that dries out, then it won't germinate. So tissue culture, that even if it is dried out like that, they'll be able to get it to go, or I don't
know.
understand.
I think they're the ones that they've gotten to go are more, they've been stored properly.
They were alive.
A little bit.
Because there is a thing where seed's dead because it was not, you know.
Well, that's like Svalbard, that giant seed bank for all the food. They have like every single type of variety of food seeds in this like seed bank that isn't reliant on power. It's like a subterranean. It's cooled based on the
and
climate.
It's in Northern Europe, right? It's in
Yeah,
northern
but
Europe. Yeah.
this isn't like one of the Antarctic ones, which Kevin Jodrey correctly made fun of for like they had a power outage there and they had people like running around like trying to get the fucking seeds from like one area to another to get them into like cold enough area to not fuck them up. But this place was more intelligently designed, thankfully, and I think that with and granted they do reproduction of the seeds every so often, but they do try and keep some of these original things around as a original genetic stock to work with. And I could be wrong,
Well,
but
I
I think
mean,
they've like
it
got
being
ancient grains
held
back and shit.
in like these perfect conditions to hold things for a long time, like a lot of the seeds that we're talking about having access to have been in somebody's drawer, forgotten about. Like even all these emery seeds I have from '97, they were in my friend's garage for like 20 years, forgotten about. When he cleaned it out, he found them and said, "Oh, do you want these?" I said, "Sure." And there was like 7 different packs. I tried 2. No, they didn't germinate. So I didn't want to mess with any of the other ones, even though I don't know what could be in there. Maybe something, but
the Thai seeds my buddy gifted me were kept in a cooler, like a giant fucking cooler you would keep drinks in, and he kept it in a cool, dark place. And they were stored in like bags. And the thing that was cool about it was he actually had a bud in like an Altoids container, one of the real mini, tiny, I don't know if it was Altoid or some other mint, but a little metal tin. And he cracked that shit open, and there were seeds in the bud, but you could still smell it. There was still beta caryophyllene, clearly, fucking spicy ass terp coming off of that fucking bud from the 90s. So it was interesting that could still stick around. That must be a pretty heavy monoterpene, I think, to linger that long.
One thing with like super good bud, why it doesn't stick around, is because like the person that has it smokes it. It's like when it's really good bud, how hard is it to save that for like a long period of time?
Pretty
like
hard because I'm
most
smoking all.
like all this great bud that's been grown every year and every month, it all like it's fire for a
That
reason.
shit gets
It
smoked
fucking
first.
gets
You're
burnt.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right. Me and my wife have to deliberately pull one nug aside of each of the strains that we come across that's fire and save it for 420, our anniversary every year. Fucking, and then smoke down on. See how it changed in the Curador, sitting at 60-60 over a year.
Oh, yeah.
Pink rosé. That's one of my favorite smokes ever.
Shout out to Relentless Genetics, man. That rosé is an amazing creation. It's beautiful. It smokes great. It smells great. Tastes
over
great.
the years,
And
over a
very jam.
20-year period, Sabrina, my wife, would cherry pick off of every crop, head nugs, and put it in these jars and keep them in her nightstand. And like periodically, once or twice, or like every year or two, all of a sudden she'd come out with this box and be like leaving all these jars that basically in the dark, in a cool place, sealed in a jar, killer weed was oxidized. It was just no good anymore. Like a couple years just sitting there, it was toast. I would empty the jars and throw it in the fireplace.
Dude, it'll put you to sleep.
I used
It's
to
all
tell her,
stevia.
why do you keep doing that? Right? Because like, yeah, that was her thing, because she wanted certain pieces, but she only smoked a little. She didn't smoke like go through the jars. And it was like just one of those things you accept when you have a wife. Like, yeah, she was going to waste like a few ounces a year, keeping them and then bringing them out when they oxidized and picking up new fresh bud and doing the same thing with it. And that was when I realized, yeah, shit don't really it don't last. You got to smoke it when it's good.
I disagree, man. I've had some really great cured flower that got better and it got more complex as it went. Like if you cure it properly and it's in a climate controlled environment, then you don't lose the terpenes. Like there's been studies done.
Now a sealed jar when it's cured and dried, that's not a good environment. When you say
60, 60.
You leave that a bud in there for
basically
a
a wine
couple
fridge.
years We used to
Not a
save.
couple years. I'm talking 1 year max. No more than a
We
year.
used to save like perfect buds of Blackwater because that's what we were growing the shit out of. Right? We had it down, and yep, it would be this different color. It would get browner as like time went on. Maybe it would smoke and stuff. I've smoked some like that, but no, it's not better. Not in my experience.
I guess everybody's
I
got
like,
their own opinion.
yeah,
as
like
well.
personally, I think it's like you cut it down, you dry and cure. Well, the cure takes a little longer, but you dry and trim in the first 2 weeks, and then maybe 2 weeks more in the jar where it's cured up a little more, and then that's its perfect time. The second month, from like 3 to 4 weeks after you cut it down to 1 more month, and then that's when it's fresh. It's best. That's just my, like, I try to smoke it at the peak if it's best, and that's when I think it is. And then the second, third, fourth month, you can't do much
Closest.
about oxidation.
The
You can
closest
though. You seal
I've-
the jar.
Yeah,
closest
even
I've
with
ever
the
came
jar
to
seal.
like saving something like that, like you're talking about, putting a bud up or saving some for a special occasion, is actually like separating those roaches. Like they might get contaminated by the others. I'm like, no, it's gotta go over there. I don't even That's the closest I've come from,
And
actually
even
putting
like,
good stuff aside.
even like you say, Jack, you're a year, okay. But like if somebody could solve
It's
the
under a
puzzle,
year. It's always under a
okay.
year because
But
it's
if
from
somebody could
420
solve the
gradually getting
puzzle
faster.
where like we could like age weed, like wine, alcohol, many other products that get more valuable as they get older, or just the fact there's been so many batches I've grown over the years, whether I physically could have saved any, because not, it's another story. But like to be able to pull out something you did 5, 8, 9, 10, 15 years ago and still enjoy it as if it was just a couple months old.
Dry sift is the best for that, for storage. But if you want to get really, really, really technical, you use argon gas. It replaces the oxygen. It's heavier than oxygen. You spray it into the jar. It replaces it. It's safe. It's one of the 8 noble gases. It's on the periodic table. It's safe for humans. It's not going to harm you.
Well, some people say nitrogen too, but I don't.
Nitrogen is not a good one. Use the argon because nitrogen actually makes it go brown the second you fucking open a nitrogen sealed pack. I've seen so many of those nitro sealed tin can, tuna can.
Even times they
turn brown.
Put things in jars in the freezer. Okay. What I would notice is when we would finally break it out, like it would go fast. Like it would be sort of dusty a little or different.
The freezer's too cold and too dry.
Yeah. And we tried fridge, freezer.
The nitrogen,
ultimately,
we actually have people drying weed here in Thailand with nitrogen, and all the terpenes are gone. All you get is a floral taste, a floral smell from it.
And when it comes to the legal market, the Mylar's in the jars. From what I understand, it can be anywhere from 3 to 6 months from harvest to product on the shelf. Which, like I guess that's still in the 1 year expiration, but like they're missing the prime window
off the harvest.
Like the prime window of when it's fresh and best. At least
they're doing some shit like herbs now because they get shit on the market in less than 2 weeks now. I have stuff that will be testing within 2 weeks of the harvest date. Unless they're just straight up lying about it.
Had to address that and fix it because what I'm saying, what I heard like a year ago, that some brands were complaining that it was taking so long to go through the packing,
they haven't
processing,
figured out metric and all that shit. It definitely takes a long time to
companies that
streamline.
have the edge are vertically integrated, where they grow their own and don't have to go through the.
Or get a small farmer who hasn't gotten bought out yet. Like my wife works for a small business and they worked with a small farmer who had been growing for a while and they had fresh stuff on hand that nobody else had bought yet. So they went in and bought out 3 of their strains, and they had the exclusive, they labeled it in their own bag, which was, it sells better in their market. This person's a Long Beach person, they're down in Oceanside. So people got recognition on this, and this person's very thankful. This grower is super thankful that they picked up this person's flower. And
well, but the bigger metric, right, which is, some of that in the distribution doesn't move as that fast. And, like a lot of times people say, oh, when you get a jar at the store, it's 4 to 6 months old. It says it right on it, right? When it was harvested.
7/18/22 right here.
Well, that matters.
7/18/22.
That's important.
So, what's today's date? This is done pretty recent shit. Yeah. 7/18.
What kind is it?
this was packaged 8/15/22.
Barry Jane. This Barry Jane's
Cultivated
fire,
707. So, buddy, like you were saying, there's a month from when it was harvest. The harvest date is 707.
That's quick. That's
Packaged
quick.
8/15. So 1 month and 7 days from the day that it was harvested, it was packaged. And
Well,
I have it, and
a
it's been
couple
smoked.
years
We've had this
ago-
sitting on my table for a few weeks.
I think one of the complaints from the people in the industry was that whole system was not working fast enough, and that stuff was being like,
You hear the loudest, squeakiest wheels. The people that bitch about it the most are the ones that aren't doing
Yeah.
it successfully.
I have no
Okay?
experience.
Squeaky
with
wheels get the
any of
grease.
it. I'm not in the legal market and only listen from afar. That's what I would say.
I can tell you from somebody who works directly inside the business. My wife, she sees it firsthand every day. She's the purchaser for their company. She purchases from 50 plus different brands, and a lot of them are actually doing good things. And if there is a way to do it right, a lot of people are trying. So they're trying to support the people that are doing it well. It's not going to be as good as homegrown for most people. So grow your fucking own. Obviously, we support that, and they only support people that support growing your own. They don't support brands that are against growing your own, which a lot of them are against it. The big multi-state operators want to lobby against home grower rights, which is fucked up. So we got to fight against that and make sure that you can always have the right to grow your own, because fucking, first of all, it's medicine, but second of all, it's just a
But
plant.
then, it seems like the newest thing is there's like white labeling going on, so it's not really like
That's been
like
happening the
it's-
entire time in the legal market. So the problem is the
So
way
then-
that the California law is set up, the distributor, it had to be a 3-tier system. They don't want vertical integration. They're supposed to be a grower, a distributor, and the distributor is the person who basically brings it to either a dispensary or a delivery service. So there's supposed to be a 3-step process. You're not supposed to be able to own all 3 steps of those processes. But guess what? People play games, different last names and family members. They figure out ways to get around that shit. So they're vertically
That's how
integrated.
you get vertically integrated.
Or
That's
you
right.
just work really
That's
well
how
with
you
somebody
get.
who owns
That's
the
how
grow.
you drive up the price. I just heard you have 3 people tax it before you get it.
Yep. No, you're right. That's exactly what it is. They tax the grower, they tax the distributor, and they tax the dispensary or the delivery service.
Oh, not just tax, but I mean, there's fucking 3 people that made have to make something on top of the tax. You know what I mean? There's
And
a
then
price of
everybody
delivery,
that got
of
paid
handling, if you will.
from the
Along
workers.
each step of the way.
I can get a
Yeah.
fire ounce for $125 indoor. Fire ounce.
Yeah.
I'll say that's
Yeah.
pretty fair to the consumer.
Okay.
Tested for pesticides,
But
heavy metals,
when you
molds,
talk
growths,
about
everything.
the taxes, not only they tax every step of the way, right? But then every paycheck, every employee, every owner pays income tax for every penny that they get paid from it, which is
And by
like
the way,
another
they can't
level of
they can't write
tax.
shit off because it's not federally legal yet.
Right.
So they can't
It's
write
like,
off the federal.
holy shit, how many ways can you tax one fucking thing? It's like a what do you call those bouncy balls? It just keeps bouncing every fucking where.
It's most like tobacco because alcohol doesn't have even close to the similar rate of tax, but tobacco is similarly taxed to cannabis.
Those bouncy
Well,
balls are fucking fun.
The
as fuck, bro.
the thing about these, like, even from your local politician or your local community to the county to the state and then eventually the feds, each little lawmaker is going to have bills for schools or bills for whatever it is. and then they're going to have to pay for those bills. And underneath that, it's like, oh, well, we'll tax tobacco 0.075 and we'll tax cannabis 0.025, 0.025. No one will notice this stuff. But every year that they pass all these bills, that's how all of a sudden over a 10-year period, you look and go, oh, remember when the taxes were 37 average? Oh, well, now it's 54, like that's how it works, right? They just keep adding little amounts. They're never going to come back and go, oh, we're adding 10 more percent, take it or leave it. Nope, they're going to do it in little tiny like 0.0s or points.
But buddy, the thing is, interestingly enough, they figured out with taxes, whether it's for cannabis or like people paying their taxes in business, there's a point where if they put it too high, people will just stop doing it and they'll do
New
illegal
York,
shit and go around
New
it.
York City.
But by the way, it's 420. Cheers, everybody.
Had a thing so many years ago where cigarettes were $20 in New York City with all the taxes. This was years ago. And what it created was the black market, because New York has all those bordering states that cigarettes were $10 or $7. Maybe it wasn't 20, it was like 17. And then, yeah, they ran that for a year or two. And then the city or whoever realized, oh, we hit our limit. That's the point where that we sold less cigarettes because we taxed it so fucking hard that people just brought them in overstate. And then they lowered the taxes down. It failed. And that's an example of exactly what you're saying is when you tax something so much, eventually like, yep, that's too much.
That being said, we have to cut it off here with the 420 mark because the 95 calls way too quick. Not that I'm getting up at night.
Eagle, can I request something? Is it possible? Can you get a dab song to play us out?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I just loaded up a fat dab, so fuck it, I'm gonna take it.
Man, I got some
Wi-Fi
dabs
OG.
from Mr. Growley there the other day, man. I can't wait to dab it. I actually still have a straw somewhere, but man, I'm sure. It's Mr. Clean. That's what it says, Mr. Clean. Shit fucking smells good.
I've only heard good stuff about his product. I would love to try it if I ever get to come to Michigan and link up with him.
Like I told him when I seen him, I said, I'm so glad you may see that as a producer in general, I'm glad to see you make it through, these last few years because multiple reasons, these events like the cloud cultivation and a lot of these other events is what keeps a lot of small growers, as you guys talked about earlier, small fucking produced craft cannabis alive. You know what I mean? Are these small events? If it wasn't for them, man, it'd be bottoms up for a lot of people. That is, I feel, where the good cannabis is at. But COVID damn near squashed that for a lot of people, man. And fucking, it's nice to see these events coming back and helping out these growers again. You know what I mean? So it was cheers to all you guys that fucking made it through. Made it through, still out there doing events, keeping your brand alive, and all that good shit.
Well, we're gonna make it through together. That's what this is about. Weed Nerd World.
Right on.
Supporting each other to get through this shit.
But it's been a tough storm for a lot of folks. That's for sure. As I kind of pointed out earlier, man, a lot of people through one reason or another have, had to change their cannabis dream in one way or another, I don't think there isn't one of us on this panel that fucking, when they initially started growing, had that fucking dream of having a fucking field or doing it on a large scale, or you know what I mean? Just moving from one trade to another and just being like, yeah, this is the fucking dream. But through legislation or one reason or another, we've had to go, well, that dream may not happen. I have to fucking tuck and roll. You know what I mean? Do something else. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like the goalpost keeps moving, you know?
Yeah. There you go. I'll buy that.
And I feel like I'm in the last of the, red zones here in Thailand. This is the last go around. I've got a short window to do something again, and that's it before corporate takes it over.
But out of the whole world, you're at the place where that's happening right this minute.
Yep.
Yeah.
And who would have
Yeah.
thought last year when you were sleeping on my couch, we're going to those shows, that Thailand was going to switch in 1 year from where it was 1 year ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
Now
with that
there's
being
over
said,
100 shops in Bangkok.
Have a
With
good night,
saying
Eagle.
with that,
Peace.
thank you, Eagle. Everybody on the panel, it was wonderful seeing you. Catch you all soon. Peace.
Later on, everybody.
Later, Captain.
cheers, Captain.
Cheers,
And
Cat.
I'll be
Major
next.
just
See you
slipped
guys.
right out. Just
Well, I'll see you guys the next time. Eagle, have a good week. Everyone else, same.
cheers, buddy.
Cheers, bud.
Later on. Right on, I'm gonna dip out next. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, man. I'll fly out.
Cheers.
Appreciate
Good night.
you, Ego. Appreciate everybody on the panel. Always fun.
Cheers, man.
Take it easy.
Peace, man.
Man, they're going quick. All right, I'll go next. Appreciate you all on the panel, everyone in chat. Peace and love. See you next time. Take care.
Cheers, brother. Have a good one.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
You too, man.
See you later, Eagle. See you later, everybody in chat. Bye-bye.
Have a good one, brother. Thanks for popping in.
And you. Peace.
Oh, yeah. Love it, bro. All right, everybody. Oh, I have a question for chat. What the hell are those balls called? The bouncy balls? That super balls or some shit? I need to find out because those shit sound hella fun. When Bud said, "Man, it's like those bouncy balls that never stop." Like, fuck, I gotta remember what that shit's called. So in chat, while I'll be in there, put the name of what those are called so I could get them on eBay or some shit or Amazon. Go plant some seeds and love you, Eagle. Thanks for all the support this weekend and shit. Thanks for checking up on me.
Thank you for giving me that scare. Ah, cheers, brother. Love it. You have a
Love
good
you,
one.
man.
I'll
Love you.
fuck around next time. Go to the doctor soon. Cheers.
Cheers.
With that being said, unfortunately, we did run this one long, so no shout outs tonight. The 9 to 5 thing really does suck. Sooner or later, I'll figure out a way around being able to do what I want to do. So, with that being said, thank you guys so much for your time, love, support. So cool hanging out to all you guys that ventured out. Ventured out on this weekend, Cloud Cultivation Support Buddy in that awesome event. You know, the good folks that I seen right off the top of my head. Noah, Brent Anderson, of course, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to meet you. So cool of you. Of course, Smiley, Big Jar Grows, big shout out to Skillbo One, Old Man Hermit Hash. Let's see here, of course, Carla from Crispy Treat Kitchens, and Naughty Nikki, and everybody else that I had the pleasure of meeting. Of course, Cousin Nikolai, T-Dog, and all the rest of the great people that I had chance and a pleasure to hang out with this weekend. And again, you have local events, support each other, man. That it's not just about supporting each other, but support the event so there's more of, and hang out with cool motherfuckers like yourself, and be able to have some memorable times like I had this weekend. With that being said, if this is the end of your day, your journey, please get some rest. If this is the beginning of your day, your journey, then please take time out for a little bit of self-love, a little bit of meditation, and along the lines of that day, hopefully, please do something nice for somebody. Random acts of kindness do save lives. And with that being said, I will see you later this evening. Have an amazing day. I'm out of here, you guys. I love you. There we go.